Best Actress in a Supporting Role. And the nominees are Marisa Tomei in...
For over 30 years, whisperers have followed Marisa Tomei's Oscar win for My Cousin Vinny. Some claimed she didn't deserve it. Others went further, spinning a conspiracy theory that her name was read by mistake and never corrected. Now Tomei is speaking out, and we're taking a closer look into what she said about the controversy, the role that made her a household name, and how her career proved the doubters wrong. The Oscar night that sparked a rumor, the 65th Academy Awards in 1993, the audience at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion erupted when Jack Palance read out Marisa Tomei's name for Best Supporting Actress. She had won for her role as Mona Lisa Veto in My Cousin Vinny, a performance that blended sharp comedic timing with unexpected depth. Her competitors that night were a formidable group: Judy Davis, Joan Plowright, Vanessa Redgrave, and Miranda Richardson, all of whom were nominated for more traditional dramatic roles. Tomei's win came as a surprise to many, and that surprise quickly turned into suspicion. Soon after the ceremony, rumors began to swirl. The most persistent one claimed that Jack Palance had either misread the winner's name or read from the wrong prompt, and that the Academy let the mistake slide rather than correct it publicly. As the theory went, Tomei wasn't the intended winner. At all. In the years that followed, the story took on a life of its own, repeated in articles, whispered at industry events, and occasionally referenced in entertainment columns. The idea that such an error could occur at the Oscars and be ignored seemed far-fetched, but it gained traction nonetheless. The tone of the coverage at the time often carried a note of disbelief, as if Tomei's comedic performance could not possibly have been worthy of Hollywood's highest honor. It was a subtle way of saying she didn't belong in that category, as Entertainment Weekly later noted in a retrospective article. People couldn't accept that the Academy would vote for a comedic performance over British royalty and literary adaptations. This reaction said more about industry bias than Tomei's work itself, but the damage was done and the seed of doubt had been planted. How the rumor spread, what began as a backstage whisper turned into a full-blown conspiracy theory that refused to fade. Entertainment reporters, talk show hosts, and even industry insiders kept the story alive, often repeating it without evidence. Over time, the claim that Jack Palance had announced the wrong winner became one of the most famous urban legends in Oscar history. The tale had all the elements of a juicy Hollywood scandal: an inexperienced presenter, a surprise win, and the perceived clash between comedy and prestige. But it wasn't based on fact. The rumor persisted for years despite being debunked by those who knew the process best. Price Waterhouse, the accounting firm responsible for the ballots, was quick to clarify how the system worked. Two accountants stand on either side of the stage, each with an envelope in hand. If the wrong name is read, they are instructed to step in immediately. No such correction happened that night because there was no error. The Academy backed that up and continued to stand by Tomei's win. Still, the public didn't let it go. In a way. 2002 Entertainment Weekly feature titled, "What If Marisa Tomei Wins?" and the magazine explored the theory and the ways it had lingered unfairly. Even industry veterans contributed to the noise, often implying without proof that such a mix-up could have occurred. Some speculated that the Academy was too embarrassed to admit the mistake, while others used the theory as a way to discredit her. Behind much of the chatter was a simple disbelief that a comedic performance from a relatively unknown actress could beat the serious dramatic fare usually favored by voters. Years later, Marisa Tomei addressed the lingering myth with a mix of grace and subtle frustration. "It was hurtful, but it's not for me to say," she said, referencing the conspiracy in an interview. "It's part of the culture to tear people down when they rise." The rumor had little to do with fact and everything to do with perception, an unfair judgment rooted in bias against comedy and against Tomei herself. When someone has an Oscar, the first thing I start thinking is like, where physically is the Oscar? I picture you always having it on you, that you have a special carrying case made of, like, the finest leather, and you carry it with you and you don't let it out of your sight. No, I actually didn't even have mine in my apartment until recently. I had it that's because I kept in your garage or something? No, I didn't. I didn't have an apartment. I kept moving around. I had it in the bank in a safe deposit box there. And then they called me like 2 months ago because the branch was closing and I had to go get it out. Good thing they called you. You know how we threw that out? No, but they remembered me because I forgot my ID. When I went to get it, they said, "We know it's you." They gave it to me. Again, how do we know it's really your Oscar? So, where is it now? Now it's in my bathroom. Well, like my dressing. What are you talking about? It's in your bathroom? It's a roll-on deodorant now. It looks... Marisa Tomei breaks her silence. Marisa breaks her silence. For years, she stayed mostly silent on the conspiracy theory that followed her Oscar win. She didn't feed the rumor, nor did she go out of her way to correct it, but she kept working, taking roles that interested her and letting the performances speak for themselves. In more recent interviews, she's finally spoken out about how the long-running myth affected her. Rather than lash out, Tomei reflected on it with a quiet strength and some sadness. Quote, "I was kind of shocked that it didn't go away," she said, in an interview with The Wrap. You think, oh, that's going to blow over, and then it never did. She described the experience as both surreal and disheartening. The idea that some people believed she didn't really earn her Oscar left a mark. "It didn't bother me for a long time," she admitted. "It was really hurtful. You work so hard and you feel like you did a good job, and then you're told basically that it doesn't count." Still, Tomei never allowed the talk to define her. Her response wasn't defensive, just honest. She acknowledged the absurdity of the theory, but she also understood how it reflected deeper industry bias against comedic work and female performers. In a 2010 interview with NPR's Terry Gross, Tomei offered more insight into how the win changed her life, not always in the ways she expected. Quote, "There was a lot of pressure after that. People wanted me to prove myself again and again." She added that being the only actor in a broad comedy nominated that year left her feeling like an outlier. The Academy had embraced her, but many in the press and even in the industry had not. Still, she handled it with grace, never attacking the doubters but standing by her work. Quote, "It was a fantastic part," she said about Mona Lisa Vado. "I'm proud of it." After decades of rumors and subtle digs, her words landed not as a rebuttal, but as a final word, a calm and confident refusal to let the story define her legacy. Her role in My Cousin Vinny. Do you always trust your own instincts? No, I don't say that I try to listen to my instincts and first figure out what I'm really feeling about something. And, sometimes it's in contrast to, what the people, my agents, are maybe thinking might be right for me. But luckily, they're pretty honest with me. So Marisa's performance in My Cousin Vinny remains one of the most memorable in modern comedy. As Mona Lisa Vado, she played a fast-talking, quick-witted New Yorker with a deep knowledge of cars and a thick accent that never felt like caricature. She brought more than comic relief. She gave the film heart, charm, and a sense of grounded intelligence that made her scenes stand out. Her courtroom monologue about the difference between limited slip and positive traction differentials became an instant classic, and her chemistry with Joe Pesci was effortless. Director Jonathan Lynn, who also had a legal background, praised Tomei for her timing and precision. She nailed it. He once said, "Comedy is incredibly hard, and she made it look easy." Though the film was broadly comedic, Tomei never leaned into slapstick. She played Mona Lisa with a confident realism, treating the character as someone who deserved to be heard. That courtroom scene in particular was more than funny. It was convincing. Lawyers and judges have since cited My Cousin Vinny as one of the most accurate legal films ever made, and Tomei's character played a big part in that credibility. She prepared for the role by observing real-life courtroom proceedings and spending time perfecting the rhythm and posture of a woman like Mona Lisa. The character was loud, opinionated, and unapologetic, traits that were often frowned upon in female roles at the time. Tomei made them strengths. Quote, "She's not just a girlfriend, she's someone who takes up space," Tomei said. "She's not ashamed of who she is." In a year crowded with emotionally heavy roles, her performance was bold in its own way. It wasn't subtle, but it was finely tuned. It took a certain courage to play it straight in a comedy, never winking at the audience, and that's what made her stand out. Whether voters knew it or not, they were rewarding more than just a joke. They were recognizing a performance that would last. Now it's time to hear from you. What's your favorite Marisa Tomei role? Let us know in the comment section below.